YouTube, Brian Phillips here. 1400 millimeter FMS pits, V2. We got a 4000 milliamp 6S 50C pack, and we're gonna fly that's a smart pack, of course. And we're running the AR637T, and we'll see how things go right now. We've got a little bit of a cross breeze here, so down the runway is gonna be questionable. We'll see how that goes. If you wanna start over here, camera crew, that'd be great.
I do it.
Just in case something goes horribly wrong.
Control surface test and stuff.
Yep, elevator up, down, left, right, roll left, roll right, and stabilizer should be on as soon as I give it throttle. Oh yeah, she's up.
Cool.
Stabilizer is working well in the wind. That's 60% throttle there.
Wow.
Wow. Man, she's like easy to control. She pivots on a dime, but she's easy to control. So that's 50% throttle there. Flies upside down, it's totally symmetric. I got hands off the sticks. Up elevator, she got tons of elevator throw. Look at this is crazy. It's like I'm driving a radio controlled car, it's so easy. Rolls great, looks beautiful. Got the sun behind us today. Flying from kind of a different orientation than we would typically. We are with the wind and against the wind right now. So we'll do a pass here. That thing has some presence, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. That was full throttle there. Man, that rudder, I haven't even tore into it yet. I'm barely even using any of it right now. Those poor people with that house there, they're probably all freaked out about that plane flying there. Oh, that rudder is effective. Wow, totally out of the thrust there. Didn't have any help from the prop wash on that maneuver. I gotta bounce that prop though, it's kind of noisy. I'm really liking the way this thing flies. Super easy to fly, very predictable. The AS3X is rock solid. I'll show you what it looks like with the AS3X off here now. Okay, AS3X is off. Still flying pretty solid, guys. I'm not feeling any wander or creep. This might be just big enough that you don't need it. Look how nice that rolls. Guys, gorgeous flight. I'm loving the blue backdrop. This plane doesn't disappear. Kind of handy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, camera crew, we're gonna come under the power lines. Can we go back a couple steps so that we have the full runway in case I need to touch down? Go about 4 more steps and you'll be on the tall grass. There you go, good job. So like I said, when you fly from a different spot, sometimes you get a little bit different tendencies. You see things from a different perspective. It can kind of change your behavior. Just trying to be on the safe side with that wind pushing the plane toward us here. You see how it's kicking to the side, guys? Gorgeous pass though. I am resisting that tendency to want to crab. Man, it rolls so fast. Okay, we'll try going the other direction here.
Okay.
1 minute remaining. Just a nice, relaxing pass. Nothing to see here. I need you back 4 steps and toward me. There you go. Good job. Wonderful. Guys, this thing is a joy to fly. It's like way less scary than I thought it was going to be. It's actually not really scary at all. And we've got a little bit of crosswind right down the strip. Going under the power lines with impunity. That is a big plane though, folks.
Yeah.
It is, make no mistake. That's 1400 millimeters of pure delight. Man, I love the blue sky up against it. I hope my polarized lenses on my glasses are not tricking me because it looks gorgeous. 2, 1, that's timer elapses. Loving it. Love the way the sun beats down and you can see the shadow from the upper wing. Okay, we're gonna cut it back to about 0% throttle here. We'll use the rudder to kick it in. I'm just seeing just how it stalls here for a landing. Oh yeah, it's gonna take a little bit to get it down, but I think we're gonna be okay. I'd really like to be flying this way for the landing because then I'll be kind of into the wind. So I need you to go to my left so I know where you are. Thank you. And then I'm gonna go ahead and try to take a landing. This will be a different angle. You guys don't see us land like this hardly ever, mostly because I don't ever. Gotta stay in the throttle, keep it between the power lines. You know what? I like that approach, but it's gonna crab like crazy and that bottom wing might kick down into the ground. I think this 1000 milliamp hour pack has a little bit more left in it, but I'd like to not just assume that. I'd like to test that with a voltage meter. I do have an alarm on this one because I don't believe our telemetry is gonna tell us what we need to know. Yeah, you see the crab there, camera crew?
Yep.
I just do not want to destroy this plane. It's so pretty. And we're gonna have a 45-degree crosswind on the main runway, which of course would be the road. Car's clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll just put it down. Ooh, grass is
I
good.
was gonna say that was not terrible.
It could have been worse.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I wanted to get it down.
Yeah.
I didn't want to try to drag it out today because it's just going to want to tip that wing over. But it felt really stout on the ground. I didn't feel like it was going to tip at all. Once I got it on the ground, it was just solid. So let's go look at it, see if there's any aftermath. We are 2 minutes past our 4-minute timer, so we'll just go ahead and pretend like we're not using any power, but we really are. I didn't bring our voltage tester out, but I do have a voltage alarm on. So we'll see how this goes. Beautiful plane. Looks like it'll handle grass just fine. And as we've mentioned before, this side of our grass is rocky and kind of crappy because this is where our driveway had originally run when they were doing construction on this property. And we're trying to get the grass to take. Real easy to carry this plane. By the way, throttle cut is on and tested. You can throw it up on your forearm like this. You can hold this plastic wing mount and it works super nice. Other biplanes I've had in the past, sometimes they are really hard to move because the wings are not quite designed to hold. You're not supposed to hold a wing from here. You're supposed to hold it from the whole surface of the wing. The other thing I notice about this model, and not on a plus side, is just the simple fact that this thing doesn't always go forward and lock the canopy. You need to watch for that. So you can see how mine kind of sticks there. I could probably put some white lithium grease on there and get that to slide forward, no problem. One of the best parts of this, look at this. That pilot is beautiful. He's kind of Asian with some purple lipstick, which is a little weird. I'm not sure.
It's a little cold.
Not sure. Yeah, he could be. Could be cold, or it's a weekend at Bernie's and we just don't know it. So that is one of the best features of this plane. This thing, just like in the P51 1.2, beautiful feature, makes it so easy to put this pack in. And our voltage is at 3.83, 3.84, 3.89, 3.81, and 3.81. Now, I don't trust the readings on this like I would on the smart tester, but that is plenty good for what we're doing here. That's right at storage voltage. We got a 6-minute flight. We were not uninhibited by the wind. I mean, the wind definitely was a factor, and when you fly in wind, you're gonna tend to consume a little bit more power. That's been my experience at least. And good quality FMS straps, that's nice. Battery is super easy to get in and out. No problems whatsoever. You could absolutely do a bigger pack in here, but you're gonna have to reposition it to keep that CG where it needs to be. And as you can see, the AR 637T, which has all sorts of bells and whistles that we aren't actually using on this plane, not the least of which is the fact that we don't actually have landing gear or flaps. So we're really only doing a 5-channel configuration: throttle, elevator, rudder, ailerons, 4-channel. That's pretty bad. But anyway, this plane is gorgeous. The AS3X handled the wind like a champion. We had no problems whatsoever. And this pack, I would say there's no puffing. maybe some would qualify that as a puff, but it's not puff from this plane. That's from when I was really mean to it with the F-18, near 100% throttle. This is how much I trust this pack. Look at this. Don't do that, guys. That's dangerous. Don't put lipos in your pocket unless you'd like to be the fireman. So that's it, guys. This plane is gorgeous. It's a really good plane. It's very easy to build. We had one problem with one linkage when we were connecting the left aileron to the top aileron, if you will, of the top wing. And that was just because I made a mistake. But you can watch that in the build coming up right after this. We're also going to do the radio setup. We'll show you exactly what we did to set that up. And we dive just a little bit deeper into the forward programming with the AR-637T. I'm getting more used to it. I'm realizing that it's not as hard as I originally, remember it being with the Boeing 737 MAX 9, which was the first time that we debuted the AR-637T. It's a very capable receiver. It does all the things you want, with the exception of if you don't have the right type of avian ESC, you don't take advantage of a lot of the telemetry that it has to offer. So if you can use an avian ESC in your planes, then you're going to be rock solid gold, and you're going to have all the telemetry you could possibly want. But I love this. This thing has the AS3X. It has safe if you want it. I've chosen not to put safe on this particular aircraft. There's a few more steps involved, teaching the positions and whatnot, but it's actually been golden. I don't even think I clicked any trim into this. None.
You didn't mention it. I didn't hear you.
I have no trim in here.
Yeah.
There's 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yep.
There was no trim, guys. I lined up the control surfaces, level, true, and done. I didn't even have to trim it at all. So the CG is evidently correct, which is marked on the top of the wing. We'll go through that in the build video.
Yep.
If you want to buy one of these, if you're thinking about buying one of these, please do check the description below. The NX6 is great. We've had only one minor glitch with it, and they're working on fixing that. It has to do with a flat mode, and you can definitely, we have workaround right now. So that's no big deal. Other than that, it's been great. It fits the hand well. It's got a good weight to it. It's not overly heavy. It's not overly light. The gimbals feel great. Very satisfied. The rubber is sticky here. It has a good mount position for the lanyard. You can see the display when you're lanyard up. The display is awesome. We have it set to this orange color, which is not as good in the super bright, but it's better for when you're filming. The black against the orange does really good for exposure. I was running it white and black before, but you can change that in the system setup. Love the battery. This 4,000 milliamp, this is probably my favorite 6S pack. It has performed in so many planes. It's done a really good job. The 5,000s are really good, but this one just saves a little bit on weight for some of the jets, and I like that. This happens to be the exact size that's recommended, with the exception they recommend only a 25 seat pack, right? Or was it 35?
It was 35.
Yeah, 35. So this happens to be a 50 seat pack, but on a smart pack, you could almost certainly use a 30 seat. I guarantee you're going to be good. Just fly it. Don't be crazy with it. Run 100% throttle the entire flight, and you'll be totally fine. And then secondly, or thirdly, or 57thly, I want to make sure you guys understand I'm not a 3D pilot. I never claimed to be one. This plane would probably, it would hinge on being able to do a lot of 3D maneuvering that I don't really get into. So I don't want you to handicap this plane because of my lack of 3D capability. I think it looks gorgeous as a scale plane. It flies really good. It landed pretty easy given that we have basically a 45-degree crosswind, which is about as bad as it gets, because normally you just go to a different strip if it's any more than that, or you come at it from the opposite direction. So in our case, definitely give it high ranks. I love the colors. The colors are better than I thought. I prefer a yellow biplane, but this thing pops in the sky just like a yellow one would. And love the starburst pattern on the top, or the sun, what is that, like a sundown pattern? I'm not sure what they call that. But on the bottom, it's just got the straight stripes. Yep. Super easy to tell what direction you're going. Very happy with it. I don't have any complaints about the lipstick color on the
on the pilot.
On the pilot. I mean, it could have been a different color.
Yes.
So, but
you
other
have a
than
problem
that,
with lipstick color.
other than the latch and the thing we broke, this plane has been a pretty flawless experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're gonna fly it in dead calm. We'll do a second flights video for this. We're gonna try to do that on most of the planes we do. A couple weeks after you see the mains, we'll usually publish something like that. And that's just to refresh your memory. If you guys are on the fence about this, you can close the deal with that. See if we really enjoy it. In dead calm, Planes fly a lot different, as you've probably learned. Sometimes the wind is nice, especially if you've got a really fast flying jet. If you got the wind right down the runway, boy, it's nice. It helps so much for landing. But there again, when you're making your turns and all this, it gets to making, especially the planes that don't fly as good really look bad when you fly them in heavy wind. So this thing looked gorgeous, gorgeous, and I was loving it. So any other thoughts, camera crew?
Oh, it's super cool.
All right, in that case, stick around for the build. We're gonna do the unbox, build, radio setup, which includes setting up that AR637T, because this is a plug and fly, and then obviously setting up the NX6, and then we'll talk about getting the CG worked out with this, and you guys can enjoy that at your leisure. Come back for more. Don't forget to buy from the links in the description below if you want to help support the channel. Smash the like button, and definitely click the bell for notifications if you haven't already subscribed. We would appreciate you being part of our team. Come back for more. Thanks. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. You're never gonna believe what we're doing here. We're gonna unbox this thing. You may have already seen the glorious Maiden. As usual, we haven't, because we're in current time.
That would be odd.
It would be. So basically, we've been putting the flights at the beginning because that's what you people want to see first. And then the 7 of you that watch the build and radio setup will know how to do it. So basically, we have the FMS Pitts V2 1400 millimeter. We've been doing a few biplanes lately.
We have.
We don't do a lot of biplanes usually, but I'm
really
excited
different.
to see how this thing performs. We actually have a couple more FMS, well, 3 more to be specific, that are coming in the recent and not too distant future. Yeah. Okay, so I think I might hear a label down here, so we'll see if that comes out. Can you grab that side camera crew? Will it lift?
It's not even. There we go.
Okay, cool. All right, good. We're good. So we're gonna put this on the ground so that our cats can immediately jump in it. All right, here's the box. Looks pretty straightforward. This is not a toy. Adult supervision is required. Will you watch, hon? Okay, good. So this is a plug and fly or plug and play. It's 1400 millimeters. Why do they do that to me on FMS
Always
boxes?
upside down. I know.
It sounds bad every time I flip it. It makes me nervous. We were super impressed with the 2.5 meter FMS we just did the other day.
Are we showing them that one?
Yes, because it'll post.
Okay. That one.
The ASW 17 was awesome.
Very good.
Very good. Very impressed with it. And we're using the AR637T again.
I see red right by your finger.
Okay, I think we're good still.
Okay.
You know what? If you're seeing the wheels, maybe I should put it down like this and we can pull it out. That's one thing we've been learning, is that as we unbox different manufacturers' boxes, Horizon stuff, the E-Flight line, has the best packaging, but FMS has pretty stinking good packaging too. I mean, granted, they're all under the same umbrella now, but they weren't when they started designing these planes. So, without further ado, we're gonna cut stuff up. This plane is really packed in here. There is a lot of plane in this box.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's that much, but every square inch of it appears to be filled with plane, which is pretty cool. And I can already tell I'm gonna be impressed with this plane because it feels stout. Look at that, okay? Snappy snaps. Looks like there's gonna be some dihedral in there. Big control surface. Look at this, 17-gram servos, that's awesome. To be expected from an FMS model.
Big control horns and stuff.
Look, here's your lock-in point. Not real thrilled about that, but definitely manageable. We're gonna have to pull this thing out and plug in a wire. That's gonna kind of suck, but I can tolerate that, obviously. With a plug and fly, you tend to have a little bit more of that setup. This is a V2 as well, which means that they've changed the design a little bit. Thank you, camera crew. So how did they change it? Not sure. I didn't have a V1. Okay, so wings go in there like that. The spinner, that's what we were hearing. See? The spinner adapter or the prop shaft.
yep.
That's what was banging into the back of the box. Okay, not one, but two. Looks like very thick sidewall. Super strong. Carbon fiber spars. That's always good. I think I can slide this out now. Yeah, so this is the same. Not sure if that's the top or bottom wing. Typically the bottom wing is the wing that actually has the control surfaces that are functional. There are some planes that have functional control surfaces on the top and bottom, but almost always they have a linkage. And that is going to be true on this plane here. As you can see, this is the top wing, and there's a linkage adapter here. So that needs to be worked a little bit. I can't tell if it's a foam pinch hinge or if it's something with an embedded hinge. It's kind of hard to tell, but this wing is super sturdy. I can tell the spar goes way through. Little teeny bit of flex, but I doubt with 4 wings you're gonna have much flex by the time it's all assembled together. Foam to protect foam, that's always good. I do need to cut this again. Oh, we got the spinner here. Don't wanna forget that. Spinner is a red plastic spinner. It's not a painted plastic, which is good and bad. It's good if you get a scrape or a scuff on it, but it's bad because it doesn't look quite as pretty as a painted finish in my opinion. And the color never quite perfectly matches, but pretty close match on this actually. We've seen a whole lot worse.
Definitely.
Okay, so
It
far.
matches the wheel pants that you can see sticking out the corner too.
Yeah,
They're
right.
plastic.
That's plastic too? Okay. I'm always super weird about cutting this stuff because I don't know how deep I can cut and get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. I've had a lot of people ask me to do pits over the years. That is a really thick wing.
The decals are really nice. There's not a lot of like.
It's really smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the wing joiner is going to be good on this. It's kind of reminds me of the timber.
Oh yeah.
So that's exciting. Okay, so this whole surface can be removed now. So I got to cut to the next layer, which is going to be kind of a big piece. I'm just trying to make sure to get all the tape cut. You know, unboxings for me have never my thing. I don't watch a lot of unboxings, but I totally get why people watch them. When you're ordering, especially if you guys are, you know, like in Australia or New Zealand, and you're spending the big money to ship these things.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know how it's going to ship. I don't want to get something that's going to break halfway, because then what are they going to do? Offer to replace a part and you pay shipping? Yeah, right. Okay.
One more tape.
So we're fortunate because we're fairly close to where this stuff comes from, unless it's an early release and it comes from China. And when it comes from China, that's expensive. We got that plane from China. That came from Hong Kong. And the shipping was 200 something odd dollars. It was really bad because it was during the pandemic, was right at the...
Like the beginning of it, kind of.
Right, well, it wasn't the beginning, but it was partway through. Got a nut sack here. Wing joiners, looks like the adapters from the top to the bottom. It's kind of that plasticky red, a lot more hardware than the last FMS.
Yeah.
But granted, we expected that on a plane like this. It's not really a surprise. This is not real comforting though. I see broken foam, but man, that is a huge prop. Holy crap. That's a 15.9 prop and it's beautiful.
Goodness.
But that is a big one. Wow. Okay, so that's almost quite as big as the Carbon Z Cup. That's a 16 something.
Wow. That's amazing.
So these are 3 inches. Wheel pants, in my experience, have never really been, I've never had good luck with them. So I'm hoping that I have good luck on these and these things spin freely. But let's just say it this way. You know, I'm not against taking my pants off. I won't do it for you guys.
I think that's been established.
Now, what else do we have here? We've got the top and bottom wing joiners here. Plastic embedded in foam there. See? That might be hiding a carbon fiber spar. It's sure pretty sturdy. So not sure which one's which. It didn't seem super obviously marked left and right. Obviously a decent amount of strength there. I don't like that. That's weak. I think that actually is going to get bound to the bottom centrally. That is a pinch hinge, guys. See that? So you can tell it's a pinch hinge and there's not an embedded piece of plastic or hinge. So that could be a problem over time. I don't think it's going to be a problem on this plane. Feels pretty robust. The last biplane we did, the PT-17 by Dynam, we had to tape it because it broke while we were basically unboxing it. Actually turned out to be a really good plane. So we'll see how it holds up. But we had to take tape and go way down in and way up, and it was kind of a pain. So glad we don't have to do that on this. Big elevator.
Wow.
Got to work those hinges a few times. Snap in pieces here. Ball joints too, which is really nice. Looks like plastic embedded there. We've got two. We've got two wing spars. There's one here and then one here. And the wing spar goes right to that connection point, which is pretty cool. I think there's a strut that's there. Looks like this FMS servo is another 17. Don't know if it's Metal Gear or what, probably Metal Gear. That's for the elevator, I believe. Okay, so cool. Feels really good. I like the canopy. It's nice and clear. The pilot does look like he's maybe a little bit of Asian descent. So if you're not into that, you know, it's better than Pinocchio. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's Asian, which is fine. I mean, this was, I feel like there's something in there. What is that?
Connectors?
Yeah, I think it is. It's an EC5. And then I also see a wire that's loose. That EC5 is what you're hearing.
Yeah, okay.
So beautiful finish on here. The red does match pretty close. The decals are striking. They don't show through to the red paint, which is nice. This wheel is nice. It's got a spring clip here that holds it on, so that's nice, keeps it nice and tight. So you don't have like a collar that's gonna be sticking out all big and bulky and ugly. Obviously we have instructions, but they folded it. That's annoying. Come on, guys. Come on, man. Put it flat. So we'll deal with that next. Oh, we still have some. Let's put this by the pie.
I know. Okay.
Whoops. Ow.
Thanksgiving airplane.
Yes, Thanksgiving. We got all sorts of goodies here. So we're gonna unbox this and then we're gonna build it just like we always do. The difference is this thing is fairly big. So I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do it. I don't know if our plane stand is gonna work so good with it. Okay, I don't have anything in there. We do have a couple of control rods over here, and I think the box is empty at that point. See? Control rods. Don't forget those. I think these are probably what go from the top to the bottom wing, possibly. Oh no, they might go to the control surfaces in the back. Steel, high quality. Got the rubber. Oh no, these go from wing to wing because the ones in the back are ball joints. So they must be included in this bag. Yep, there they are for the elevator and rudder, more than likely. Okay, great. So I think we have everything emptied out and I don't see anything under there. So we're gonna clean up. We'll come right back and start the build process. Okay guys, so before we start building this thing, which is the Pitts 1400 millimeter, let's talk about what we're gonna use for receiver, battery. They recommend a 4006S 25C, 35C.
Yep.
So we're gonna use a 50C because that's what we have, which is a 4006S Smart Pack. One of my favorite packs. Then the AR637T, which is just feature packed and beautiful. Okay. We're gonna use forward programming and we're gonna set this thing up using our NX6. And that's gonna be just plenty good for this plane. I'd really like to set up flaperons on this plane, but I'm not actually certain that it's gonna be necessary and we may end up just not doing it because the complication, there might be a little bit of complication there because you have all 4 ailerons down. I'm not sure how the plane is going to respond. I have flown a biplane that was similarly sized, actually a little bit bigger, and we did flap-arounds on a full length wing, and it worked really nice, but we did not have control surfaces above. So that was a SIG plane, and it was one my grandpa built. So anyway, getting back to the point, we're gonna use these components, and I think they're gonna work really good. This battery is actually pretty small for this plane because it has a huge battery tray. So, and then the 637T should be super easy to set up. As you can see, we used it in the FMS ASW 17, which was awesome. And if you haven't seen the video yet, definitely check it out. I have a sweet spot for sailplanes. We're gonna be doing hopefully more of that in the future. And then while we've got this upside down and backward, look at the size of this motor. It is ridiculously huge. Look at that thing. It is gigantic. That is a 42 56 460 kV. So it's really big. And I'm sorry if I read that wrong, guys. It's kind of hard to see from the angle. So without further ado, we're going to start the assembly. The instruction manual suggests putting in the landing gear first.
Yes.
Nice to have an instruction manual that tells you what order to do things in.
Here, look at this addendum though, because I don't know if this obviously goes with the landing gear. I don't know if that looks like it needs
So
to
it's
be
an
done.
M3 screw nut. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Into
so
the plastic piece.
you have to put those into these. Okay, fine. So that makes sense. So you have to do that first because you're going to block access. You're going to block access to the spot where they fall in. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. And when I say next, I mean we're going to do that right now. So grab your nut sack, break your nuts out, and we're going to see if we can get those things in there. So they're saying they're M3. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I had somebody suggesting we put this on white paper, so we'll go ahead and log that suggestion. And here's the nut sack. Okay, there's 1, 2, it looks like 3 and 4. I don't see that there's a lot more in there, so that must be what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense.
Okay, so we had an addendum in ours. You guys may have it in your manual properly. I'm not sure. Okay. So we've got those 2 there. The control, one of the nuts found its way up the shaft.
Jeez.
I know.
Probably not good.
Probably awkward. Probably see a doctor for that if that happens to you. Okay. So we got 1, and these are nylocks. 2, 3, 4. Yep, I only see the 4. So that's pretty good. And then these must be the screws that we're going to use. So now they don't indicate which way they go, but I'm assuming that the nylon part goes, in this case, to the rear on the front because you slide it in like this. Typically you want to insert the screw into the unnylocked portion of a nut, and then the outermost threads at the end of the screw should pick up on the nylon, okay? Boy, that's really kind of hard to get in there. I hope it's the right thing. I'm pretty sure it is though. If you want to try from the sink side, maybe you can get a better angle at it. Sometimes if you're having trouble with that, you can actually slide the screw in and just use that to get your alignment straight. You see what I did there? Mm-hmm. That worked pretty good actually to kind of help get purchase on it. Okay, so now what I'm gonna have to probably do, given the circumstances, is I'm gonna have to use a pair of pliers to help kind of guide that nut into its socket. Obviously these nuts are gonna have to be pushed in or you won't be able to slide the gear mechanism around them.
Mm. Oh, so it has to go all the way in.
Yeah, you have to seat it.
I understand.
Okay, so that's why I'm concerned, because if you don't seat it, then you can't get your landing gear on.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just being gentle, and I can see that some people would have been confused by that, but it probably just people probably complaining because that would have been annoying to have to take off the gear after you put them in. Because there's several screws here that go in as well. We're gonna chew through this hardware quick though, which is good. There's a lot of hardware just on the landing gear.
That helps.
Guys, if it weren't already obvious from other comments I make, I really do appreciate planes that have low piece count.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you know, you can get an ARF and you can spend lots of time putting it together and you can really do a nice job. For me, I just want it to be as close to done as possible. So you notice we don't do a lot of plug and flies. That went in super easy. I don't know what the heck. We don't do a ton of plug and flies, partly because the bind and flies have just been so abundant, and then partly because it's a lot easier for us from the reviewing standpoint as it goes quicker. Okay, so you see this, drop that in, rotate into position, and then line them up. So this is actually what's holding the plane up. This is just a decorative fairing, which is very beautiful, by the way. And it will splay out, so that's kind of nice. So obviously this screw is the screw we need because it's like the only screw that's gonna reach. So I'm gonna tell you what size that needs to be. I'm assuming it's gonna be 1 point, well, it might be 2 actually. Nope, it's not that. Hey, it's so weird, we always talk about this vase.
I was waiting for you to
It's so
say
weird how we always talk about this vase and then I always catch, I get crap from people. Turn around, what's over there? What is that? It's so weird. Weird.
Oh, flowers.
Yeah, that's right.
Not in a vase.
Well, they were in a vase
I'm kidding.
if you wanted them in a vase.
I like my mason jar flowers.
So
I
anyway,
love them. Thank
yes,
you.
I didn't put them in a mason
No,
jar.
I did because I like
I
it.
brought them
I'm
home
just
in the
giving you-
wrapper from the store.
Yes. Wait, while you're screwing, the cats are trying to sample my dessert.
Get down. Yeah, they want to eat our Thanksgiving dinner before we have a chance to get to it. Speaking of Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, folks. You're probably watching this well after Thanksgiving is over. But that's okay. We'll pretend like you're watching it on Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll do a Thanksgiving extravaganza and release like 10 videos all in the same week.
No,
Yeah, probably not.
because then we have to do 10 more videos.
Yeah, my camera crew's like, definitely not.
No, but you have to get your credit for
There
your
we go.
flowers that you got me, which was
Yes.
very nice.
But that was a birthday earning.
Yes.
Yes, my camera crew had
I
a
don't
birthday.
get them just for fun.
No, no, there's got to be a reason. Like I got in trouble.
Like you have too many planes. Have
You
flowers
would get a
all
lot
the
more
time.
flowers if that was true. Okay, so we have 4 of these to do, and then the instructions are going to show what to do about this little thing in the bottom, camera crew.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty evident what one goes in there. I mean, this thing goes in there. It's very obvious.
To cover that piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, we have put together a few different machines for our farming experience, and they should be much easier and much better directions because they could like kill you easily, or like multiple people at a time, and yet they don't send instructions. But you know, these radio controlled airplanes, they come with decent instructions
better.
most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Bouncer.
all right, so we got that there.
This red on red is kind of tricky.
Is it really?
The camera.
It's actually quite easy to put together so far.
Yeah.
I've been thoroughly pleased with it. It's a little bit hard to tell when the Nylox are getting their full purchase though. And I'm hoping that the long ones are correct on this. Did the instruction manual indicate that?
I don't remember.
Well, they show the same one, so they gotta be the same. They show 20 millimeters long. Yeah, so we got those right. So then we need the 8 millimeters long by 2 for this centrally mounted portion. And these ones are flat. No, they're not. The problem is there's only 2 of these in my package, and that's what I thought I was going to be using.
Oh.
You see, oh, so you know what? We must need to use these ones because there's more of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they do give you spares because there's 1 extra nut there, it looks like.
Yep.
Okay, so these are 8 millimeters long. That's probably about right. So let's see if that lines up. Did you get me a wonderful Chinese screwdriver?
I did.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good fit. You did good, camera crew.
See, I know what I'm talking about.
She's like a connoisseur of screwdrivers.
There's a lot of
Hey, that fits pretty good.
screwing in this house.
That's true. All right, so that pulled it flush, which is really nice. Good fit and finish on this so far. I have not seen anything that really disappoints other than the pinch hinge. I'd really like to see an embedded hinge.
Not like abnormal.
No, it's not abnormal, but on a model of this size, it would be kind of nice to see an embedded hinge. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Okay. That's a lot of hardware for the landing gear.
It is, that's true.
Okay, so that's in there, very sturdy, very robust. And so now what's next? Are they suggesting that we flip it over or keep working
It
from
says
the
while
bottom?
inverted, we're gonna do,
The lower wing assembly.
yeah.
Okay, so I need to ram these,
Not at the same
the
time.
wing joiners. If you can get it from both sides at the same time, pretty special. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's good. It is weird
Wait.
that,
Right.
is there supposed to be two?
You have the directions your way.
It shows one arrow. Install the wing spar.
Does the other one go in the top one?
Sorry. Well, the
Good
last
thing I'm
one we did,
here.
we got an extra wing spar the last time we built a biplane.
We did, which was kind of
Which was
strange.
weird.
Yeah.
Spars are expensive, so you wouldn't think they would do that. Okay, so obviously this is the up and this is the down because the servo's pointed down. So I have this one here, and there's this plug that is kind of stuck right there. And oh yeah, all you do is just jank this out. See? Yeah. Yeah. So we can just slide that through. I'm wondering if I need to put the Y cable on so that it's a little bit longer.
Oh.
Because the Y cable is clearly going to go between the two aileron servos in this case, see? Because there's no flaps on this technically.
So you're not plugging it into anything. There's
No,
a
I'm just
plug
doing
there.
I'm just feeding it through.
Right.
Just feeding it through. I'm going to start with this too here. Because then when we feed the other side through, then we'll have one less thing to assemble and it'll be a little easier to find the wire. Okay, then I'm gonna feed this there and just kind of guide them in as you go. That was making me nervous earlier because I thought that was another connector, but it was just, there's only one. I don't know why I didn't connect the dots at that time. Will you help me make sure that doesn't spin, please,
Yes.
camera crew? So they're asking for 3mm by 10. So 3mm by 10. So there's gonna be 4 total, but I need 2 to begin with. And these are more than likely gonna be the same. Yeah, it looks like there's quite a few that are gonna be in this size. So I'm pretty sure that's right. So I can start these 2 first. So far, really easy assembly. Everything is going very smooth. I've been really impressed with the FMS models. I can't believe I've never had one before just recently.
I know. I was surprised when you said that the other day, that you've never had one.
I don't know, it's just one of those things where if the E-Flite version was available, I kind of went with that. And that's not to badmouth the E-Flite or the FMS. They're both good.
When you kind of get used to a certain system, you get used to what E-Flite does, and so you just kind of,
Well, when you have bind and fly equipment, you want to be able to bind and fly it.
yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to rotate this so I
Okay.
have it again. And then I don't think you're going to need to be super worried about it tipping, but just spot me in case it starts sliding.
Yeah.
So far, everything is fit very good. I told you this thing would be big.
I know. I'm surprised.
And a Pitts doesn't have an especially long wingspan. So when it's a 1400mm wingspan, it's a pretty big plane.
Yeah. The fuse is way bigger than I was.
The fuse is kind of reminds me it'd be probably similar scale to the ASW 17. Similar, not exactly the same, I don't think, but real similar. Okay, now that's nice and balanced. This plane is going to be so much easier than the last biplane we built because we had about 4,000 steps on that plane, and it was really frustrating.
Except the instruction manual only had like 3 of them.
Well, you know, the instruction manual wasn't horrific. That's why you have videos like I do.
Yeah.
Because you then disregard the instruction manuals. Let's just be realistic. If the instruction manual would have showed step-by-step instructions, they would have been in Chinglish. You wouldn't have understood it. Yeah. So it didn't really matter. Okay, this one, getting bad alignment on the screw. Camera crew, can you hold the wing? Just hold the tip. Hold it hard so that I can push against it. There we go, got it. Thank you, you had the perfect touch on that.
Of course.
Yes, I agree, of course. All right, so this, I don't think I mentioned it, this was a 2mm or 5/64 of an inch precision screwdriver. That's a hex drive. Okay, so now what's next while it's inverted?
That might be it.
They suggest to go ahead and flip her over at this point and hit it from the other side. So that's what we're gonna do next.
Early in the process.
Well, I mean, it just takes as long as it takes. I mean, you don't wanna do it all that direction. This is pretty good. That's really good.
Wow.
That looks so weird.
It does.
Without the, it's like a toy plane. It is kind of a toy plane, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Exactly what it is.
the next thing we're supposed to install is the horizontal stabilizer, which makes perfect sense because the vertical stabilizer connects into it. And you are supposed to use the same screws, which are the 10mm versions, like so, with a 2mm nut drive. Not nut driver, hex drive, sorry. So yeah, we do need to mount this first. There's a ball joint on there and it doesn't mention anything about attaching it. So yeah, they do show it in a later step. So we'll go ahead and hold off on doing anything with that. Everything so far is bolted together too, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So if you did, in the unlikely event that you had to store this thing and it was too big, because let's be honest, it's a 1400mm plane. It's not gigantic, but it's still pretty big. So in terms of the scale of the plane, it is a tall plane.
Yeah.
So normally you get a 1400mm plane, it's gonna be about that big. Like to where that bottom of the wing is, maybe you got a vertical stabilizer like this. So if you're spatially challenged in your home, then this plane is rather grande.
You're gonna start being spatially challenged in your home.
Yeah, I know. I know. That looks pretty cool now. I love that this is built. I'm not crazy about the fact that it's plastic, but there might be some reinforcements in there that I can't see. And there's also going to be stuff on the outside. Okay, so what's the next step? The vertical
Okay, so now
stabilizer?
the vertical stabilizer.
Okay, and it's attached with the same screws. Nope, 12mm.
For there, but then up here to go into the top, it says 10mm. What is that?
What is that? That is bizarre.
I don't know what's it even pointing to.
So the 10mm is up front.
Secure the vertical stabilizer and tail wheel using the included screws? What?
There are some screws down here, these black ones.
But are they bigger than the ones you've been using?
No, they're different. Those are different, I'm sure. 2.6 by 12. So I'm not sure. We'll look at it closer when we get this in. So we need, you see this? There's a spot to slide this slot in there, okay? Then this is where the screw is gonna go, okay? That's gonna bite onto the tail wheel. So I think that just slides up in there, real easy like. And then you have to kind of work that in between this. You gotta spread it out and then stuff it in, okay? Did you see what I did there? I spread it out, now I'm just ramming it in, okay? But I'm not sure if you have to do something kind of funny stuff to get this tail wheel to slide into the assembly. Yes, you kind of do. And they don't really talk about it much, but guys, you have to slide the tail wheel up. And then yes, you have to kind of get this all embedded first. And then that's going to actually actuate. That's going to actuate. That is weird. Oh, there we go. Got it. I figured it out. Then the screw goes in. It's like a set screw, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to lay this down. We do not want to forget that step because it would be easy to do. I actually think we're supposed to be using the exact same screw on that. I could be mistaken because I don't see the correct style. Do you?
It doesn't really tell you, not with any certainty, what hardware is what. But it does say a different number that's pointing
Show the
out
people
here.
what the number is.
The 10 millimeter is what you use up here. That was the same as what he just used on the horizontal stabilizer, but then this is a different number.
I'm having a really hard time getting this one started too. Sometimes...
Is it supposed to be pushed down more?
Yeah, probably, but the thing is, I'm not really feeling... Oh, you know what it is, guys? This is what's going on. This has to snap. That's what I did wrong. See? I'm going to have to flip the plane over to get that screw to fall out. Are you prepared to watch like a hawk?
Yes.
Actually, I can catch it. There,
Yep.
got it in my hand. I got two, so that one can go back.
Okay.
So this is what I'm talking about. I missed that. You have to get into that slot. Otherwise, your screws won't line up.
Well, how do
Okay.
you do that and do that whole little tail wheel thing?
Skills pay the bills, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. You kind of snap that in first, then slide it forward. Oh yeah, that's like a million times better. That felt so much more solid. And then you do have to have the tail wheel at a certain angle to relieve that into the slot. There's a slot that it slides into, so if you just put the weight down on it, it'll hold the wheel where it needs to be. That is a real tricky step, guys, I gotta admit. I mean, it's really not that tricky. If you're used to building airplanes, model airplanes, this is not that tricky. It's a lot trickier than the rest of the steps on this plane so far because they've been so stinking straightforward. That is plastic on plastic with steel joining it. It's not foam, okay? So you've got plastic here and plastic here. So you're gonna have steel holding this whole assembly on via the plastic. So it's not maybe perfect, but it's pretty good. Now this screw should line up. Come on now. Yes, yes. Boy, it's kind of a sinking feeling when you have such a hidden screw and you really have nothing you can do to get it to line up. Okay, so I think I need to probably go onto the plane stand for this step because I want to have that attached before I forget.
Okay.
Because that would be fairly easy to forget.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's show the people what I was talking about. See this, how it's bent? So now that's in a slot, and then there's a set screw that's basically, it's screw that's gonna go through and bite the other side. So there's two black screws here, hon, and then there's one more silver screw, and then the rest are going to be the machine screws. So let's see what our other steps are. We have to attach the wings, the upper wings. We have to attach that with what? Those are snap-on. These are snap-on. We're gonna use 10s, we're gonna use 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that leaves our spare, spare, spare. So it's this one, the black one.
The black one?
Yep.
Okay.
The reason it's the black one is because they have been consistently giving us one spare.
That would make
Okay,
sense.
so this is gonna go through and then it's gonna bite the plastic on the opposite side, which thus locks your wheel to the rudder. Oh yeah, that's a perfect fit. Absolutely perfect fit. Nice. Show the people on the other side. It does not penetrate all the way through with its head sticking out. See?
That's always good.
Yes.
Nobody wants over penetration.
So we're gonna flip this over, put it on its mains, and then we can see about getting the top wing on, or what is actually the next
I'm
step.
not sure. Go
The next step might have been the control surfaces, unfortunately. Yep, it was. Dang it. So we're gonna have to turn this back over. Now, this would be the time where you might wanna have your servos attached to a receiver or to a servo tester, but we're gonna throw all caution to the wind, and let's show the people real quick in the manual where you're supposed to land these. They show on the vertical stabilizer, also known as a rudder, we need to go one hole in. And then on the horizontal stabilizer, also known as the elevator, we want to go one hole in. Okay. But my experience is it's really, really hard to undo these once you've snapped them on, okay? So you're in for a tough time if you have to take them off. And if you break them, then you're pretty much screwed until you order a replacement, in my experience. So let's put this upside down again. Seems to, the plane stand has been, you know, kind of a godsend, to be honest. I don't know how we would have done some of these without the plane stand.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said one in from the end. That is a huge control arm on that servo. How big is that thing? That's a 17 as well.
I think they're all 17.
They're all 17 grams? Okay. Oops, see, I moved it. Try not to drive the servos like that if you can avoid it. Oh, I hate doing that step because it's like stab me, please. Okay, so this one's gonna be the other side. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to run this out just a couple of half turns. Okay. Who knows if it's square? It's probably not square yet. I am sort of reluctant to even hook them up just quite yet because we know they're not gonna be right.
Do you want to wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's wait. I just really hope I don't forget to snap them. You know what? Let's not wait. Because if I forget to snap them, I think this video is going to be probably a moot point at this point in the series. Okay. See? Then I can undo the screw, and that'll allow me to adjust it. Or I can undo the horn, and that'll allow me to adjust it. See, I can just undo the screw here, and that'll allow me to get in there and make my adjustment. Sometimes you can't get to them that same way. Okay, very good. Very solid connection. Obviously, we have the ball joints here on the aileron control surfaces as well. Okay, so the next step, of course, is going to be probably to go ahead and flip her back over and get the upper wing installed. Nope, they want us to do these doohickeys first. I think that they're actually opposite one another. Like there is a left and there is a right, because when I rotate them, they stay the same configuration, okay? So they're only gonna work one way. That's not gonna work, so that might work, okay? See that, what I'm talking about? They only work one way. Nope, that's the wrong way. So if they don't work, just stick them in the other hole. Goodness gracious. Oh yeah, that's definitely the way it goes, because it doesn't come out. Ooh, ooh, buddy, you really got to push on those.
That's kind of scary.
I know, especially with foam. I'm gonna try this one the other way. I'm gonna start here.
Try and show them a close-up of this side so they can see it.
Oh man, that's not very fun. Kind of scary. It goes in a lot easier up here. Oh, yep, I didn't screw it up.
That was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Sounding.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay.
I hope I don't have to redo that.
I know.
That would not be fun. Okay, so far so good.
Okay.
So I was just talking about how easy it'd be to take this plane apart. So the next step is to do these things. It appears from the drawing that they don't really indicate which way, but I'm assuming that the plastic would actually go to the inside. So the decorative portion would go to the inside is what I'm guessing.
Okay.
The problem is you can actually flip these over, and then, yeah, so just you're gonna have to use your best judgment on that. Can you grab that plane stand, camera crew? Thank you, perfect. Okay, so I'm assuming that this needs to be over here, and I don't see any contour on either side. So that would go down there and slip. So I wonder if I got that backward, or that would go there and slip. You see how there's a wider?
Yeah.
That's wider than this. No, is that an opposite? Nope, that is wider. See?
I'll show them again.
And these are the same, okay? So this is wider. Dang it, they don't mention which one's which. But let's just assume the wider one is here so that it pretty much fills up that whole gap. Okay, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way it goes. And then the plastic is going to be inboard. Oh, this is scary too. It feels like it's supposed to be maybe notched down in there deeper, but it's like really hard to know. Okay, if I have it wrong, this is the way that, see, that's not gonna line up though. So maybe I have it wrong. Let's just try it this way. I don't think it's gonna go though. Nope, it's equally crappy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's gonna be over here. So we've done our process of elimination. That makes the angle. If you show them, there is an angle to it as well. Show them the angle. You see that angle? Yeah. Because I wanna make sure we get this right, let's go ahead and throw our wing joiner in here and get this thing together. Okay. I like this pattern on the top of the wing. Mm-hmm. That's cool. That sun pattern. Okay, and then these things, actually the plastic has a taper to it, okay? So if you're doing this and you're not sure, the taper is gonna go with the contour of the wing, and then the contour of the wing backward, okay? So you see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So it matches. And then the screws will actually go through and then dive into this plastic. Okay, so you don't actually put anything on there per se right now. So I'm just doing this to see, oh yeah, we have it right. Yep, because they are the same size here and here, which means that we have it right.
Okay. So the wider part goes to the bottom.
Yep.
And then the plastic
goes in.
Is in.
Yep, and I'm just not sure.
Okay.
That's fine. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I was having flashbacks from how hard it was to clip those things in, and I thought I'm gonna crush this foam by the time I get this thing in here. Okay, control surface. Gosh, I don't wanna grab the control surface at all. It's just kind of like there's not a good place to hang on to it. There we go. Once you support it right, it's not too bad. All right, so now this is gonna suck. Just throw that anywhere, Brian. How is this gonna work?
Can you do one?
They say to put it together first,
Okay.
but they don't. Well, actually no, they say to put the wing on first and then do that.
Oh.
I'm gonna listen to the instructions because I don't know otherwise. Okay, Gene, you grab me that plastic thing that shot.
Here.
Thanks. Okay, so you see it's got an angle, so it's like, that's gonna be here. I think they're interchangeable from front to back, but you have to go the right angle. Okay, then for these,
Same, right?
yep, same as all the rest of them. The long ones are the ones you use on the landing gear. It's very evident. Okay, so far really happy with the assembly. It's been really good other than clicking that stupid thing back on the horizontal stabilizer down to the fuse. But I'll tell you what, it's very pretty.
Yeah.
The red matches better now that it's all kind of coming together. I would have liked to see yellow. I love yellow on planes like this. But this is probably a livery that's really popular. Red is a good plane color. There's nothing wrong with red. I like red too. I like blue is just tough because if you get blue, then it blends in with the sky.
Yes.
And we were kind of dealing with that the other day. And we ended up getting really lucky because a couple days later we filmed the second thoughts video, and we got the beautiful cloud cover that helped make all the difference.
The big cotton ball white clouds so we can actually see.
Well, it wasn't cotton ball white clouds.
Wait.
It was like sunset, like purple and different colors. Boy, that didn't want to start, but now it's going good. I can hear the crushing of the foam. That's what I usually listen for when I'm putting together a foamy, is I listen for the crushing of foam, I feel for it, and I look for the seams. you can kind of see the puckers start. And if you go any more than that, you're just kind of wasting your time. Okay, so now that that's on, I've got to clip these things. I'm kind of dreading this because this is gonna be awkward. Be awkward to film too, probably. Okay, so I need to go up and then back. Oh, that was so much easier than I thought it was gonna be. A lot easier than the other side, the bottom. Okay, same thing, over, up, and in. Wow, that was so much easier than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
This thing is really impressive looking. I'm super excited to see this thing in the air. Huge air inlets, by the way. I mean, it's like, there's just a big air scoop here, and then there's huge air inlets here. Look at this. See this? Mm-hmm. You can get double fingers in, and then a whole hand in here.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, all right, the next step is connect the aileron push rods between the upper and lower wings as shown. Okay. These ones are not ball joints, so that should be easy to adjust if we need to. So I don't think I'm gonna need the pliers for this step. All right, so let's move this out of the way and we can pivot the plane around. This thing is gonna look so good in the sky. I'm actually kind of excited now. I don't do a lot of biplanes for a variety of reasons, but partly because I've had bad luck with a couple of them but they were little planes and they were kind of homemade jobs and maybe not quite right. Okay, look at this, guys. You see the thread count on the top and the bottom? What I'm doing is I'm holding them down like this, and I want to see which one's longer. See? We're very, very close to even. So if we're close to even, then we should be good to go, and we're not even going to mess with them.
Okay.
We're just going to stick them on there. Because then later we'll adjust the servos. Okay. So that can go about 3/4 of the way down. And then we just need to, oh, that was not good. Yep, I just broke that thing. See that? How easy that happened? That sucks.
You broke the
I broke the tip off of the dinghy. Mm-hmm.
I hate when I break the tip off of your dinghy.
I know. So this will go here and snap on. We just had that happen to one of Esteban's planes this weekend when we were flying for fun. Okay, so let's see. I have fixed that a variety of different ways. The easiest way I've found is to basically take a paper clip, and we will do that next. So let's go ahead and get this other one on first. Can you watch my front landing gear there, camera crew?
Yep, you're good for now.
We'll just leave that one dangling for now so we don't forget. So what happened there that caused the failure was I needed to turn it, and I neglected to turn it a few times. That would be something I would recommend. Okay. So we're gonna snap that and then slide this up. I'm really kind of disappointed that thing broke, but it, you know, it's just part of the nature of the beast once in a while. I'll show you how I'm gonna fix it. It's super easy fix. Whoops, I moved the servo. I didn't really mean to. That's robust. I'm surprised how strong that is. Okay, so we're gonna rotate this over again. Now let's talk about fixing that thing real quick. Again, not exactly ideal on an unbox and build, but I have fixed them before, so we'll slide this down and we'll pop the other one off. Okay, so what's happened is that this little doohickey here is broke off, you see? So I fixed it a number of different ways. The proper way is, of course, to replace this, which we didn't get any extras, right?
Nope.
No, we didn't get any extras. So I'll show you what I would normally do. Let me grab a paper clip. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So basically, I get a paper clip or two, and I just kind of find them, make sure they're about the same size. Okay? Don't freak out. It doesn't have to be exactly right. It needs to pass through the hole and not have a lot of slop, okay? Because who wants a sloppy hole, right? Then, what you can do is you can cut the tip off. Hold on.
What?
I need an X-Acto knife.
Oh.
The X-Acto knife is gonna give us a little bit cleaner cut. And you'll understand why when you try this yourself. Hopefully you won't be trying this yourself because you'll have learned from my stupidity. Okay, so knife up and away. And we're just gonna cut this, okay? See, got it? And then we're gonna be diving into this with molten steel, okay? So I'm just gonna use this pair of pliers to just bend off a little bit. Now don't cut that yet because you're gonna be using molten steel, so you don't wanna hold molten steel. So we're gonna heat this up and it's gonna be really hot, really hot. Eventually, it's gonna be really hot. Should we pause and come back 3 weeks later?
I don't know if molten was the...
It doesn't need to be molten steel, I guess.
It doesn't have to be orange, does it?
We could have used the stove. We have a stove over there. It goes like 4,000 BTUs or whatever, 50 million BTUs. Do you remember when they came and installed our stove?
Yeah, and they didn't think about adjusting it.
They didn't put the correct orifice in. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. If you don't get the right orifice in, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because our flame went about this high.
Hold on, they didn't see.
It went about this high.
It did.
It was
a little scary.
It was comical and scary all at the same time.
Yeah. Because we have not natural gas, we have
propane.
And so it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And apparently they didn't think that was an important factor in installing a gas stove.
We can't all be experts, hon.
We are, geez.
Okay, so you guys are kind of probably connecting the dots here on how this is going to work. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Ryan, you can't do that. That's not good. And boy, oh boy, that's going to break. Oh my goodness. Oh, never do it that way on my airplane.
It's okay. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
You can do it your
I've done it. I've done it this way numerous times and had very good luck. I've never had one fail until I crashed it for other reasons. Then they failed just as good as any other connection.
Just like all the rest of them.
Yeah, we probably should have gotten a bigger torch.
Oh. You said lighter.
I said torch.
That's not what I heard.
Okay, so this is gonna melt, and then eventually it's gonna poke through the other side, and then everybody's gonna happy. Oh, that's getting a little toasty back there where my fingers are.
Should we pause and I can go get the real torch?
Nah, we're so close.
Okay.
We're so close. So now I can cut that little bump off. Okay. See how it's flush now? So it should go a little bit quicker now because we're almost there. I try not to rush this because if you melt it too fast, then you do end up melting the whole connector, and then everybody does not have a good time. And then you're stuck digging through your piles of dead planes that are still useful and should not be thrown away. Mm-hmm. Oh, see, oh, it's a boy, it's a boy. Okay, and then you can just slide it through like so. And you're like, you're gonna leave that whole paper clip on there? Yeah. No, see, now that you've got it melted, you can clip it wherever you want, really. And we're gonna we'll just kind of run it through to where we have a straight spot like so. And we can, do this as much or as little as you think you'd like to have. I usually do something like this. And then I can just do a fold on one side and a fold on the other. So I usually pull it out for this so I don't damage the plastic because it's not very strong, obviously. And then once you get it into the hole, I'm gonna actually put this one, I should probably put my stabber cover on. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the top hole with this clippy clip, the one that I haven't broken yet. Okay, so we've got that in there. The clippy clip, that's a professional terminology, of course. And then this one is going to be my doohickey, which is, it looks like an L right now. It's very complicated. So now you can also melt this into the plastic if you really want. You can actually embed that into the plastic if you really like to make your life difficult, which I do a lot of that.
I was going to say, that would be...
So you see how that works? It's super complicated and barely works, except every single time it's tried. And I did leave quite a bit of material on there. Okay, so I'm just gonna clip that off a little bit. Now this is where it gets a little bit challenging because you have to bend this without screwing up your plane. So usually what I try to do is you can, if you try, you can kind of bend them so that they're short or long enough so that they can never bind up the action, okay? So in our case, you can either, fold them at 90 degrees of each other, or you can fold them opposite one another. I'm just gonna fold them like this, okay? And this is a little bit tricky. You have to have enough room to get in there and make your fold. And then once you start, you can usually just collapse it the rest of the way. And there you have it. You have a nice, robust connection that will last a lifetime in foamy terminology, which is, what, like a couple years, 3 years, something like that.
If you're lucky.
Depends on how long your wife lets you keep it in the basement. That is the correct terminology.
Well, in that case, it's eternity.
So, if you cut them long enough, you can also run this little doohickey over the top of one or both sides, which will keep it from flopping around. So, like I said, it's not really a big deal to fix. It's kind of annoying to have to do it. But the thing is, that'll work just fine, okay? And then, of course, this will still transfer the movement from the bottom to the top, which makes both of the ailerons move at the same time, which is super cool. Okay, so we're not done building, so we're gonna pause, clean up this mess, and come right back with a build. Okay, so we have this gigantic mammoth propeller here, which, if I didn't mention it earlier, it's a 15.9, so 9 inches of pitch and 15 inches to tip. Okay, so don't freak out when you don't find your nuts in a bag somewhere. They're actually on the prop shaft, okay? So then this has a hex, and that has a hex. Okay, so they mesh up together, make for a nice tight, look at that gap, that's so tight. Then you're gonna put your prop on. Prop is gonna pick up a little bit of texture there. Gotta hold on to something. Ooh. Oh, I hate it when you gotta spin them on like this, but I probably gotta spin them on like this. See how it's wanting to go off of there? Mm-hmm. It's like you're trying to start the engine or something. Oh, there it goes. It's going. Ow. Yeah, you don't want to have your fingers chopped off by this machine because it is a big prop. Mm-hmm. So you better respect it with throttle cut, and so you don't end up with a nickname, Gimpy. So, crescent wrench, or whatever size it's supposed to actually be. Okay, just torque this down to your heart's content. Okay, you see that wanted to spin on me. Oh man, these things can get kind of sharp on the back, so be careful. It didn't cut me, but I've been cut before like that. All right, so same 2mm, 10 is gonna go in there. Of course, you gotta put the spinner on first. And then that spinner needs to seat into that lip. And then plop this on. You're ready to rock. That thing is gorgeous.
Wow.
That was not bad at all. I would say what time it is, except we don't know what time it is.
Well, I mean, we're only 50 minutes into the video.
50 minutes?
Mm-hmm, for a build?
Yeah, that's not so bad.
That's not bad. And you had to fix that little thing.
Oh yeah, I did have to fix the thing. Thanks for reminding me.
And we had to talk about my flowers that you got me.
That's true.
You got enough credit for those now.
This prop looked huge, and now it looks appropriate.
It does.
Now that it's on there. Mm-hmm. That is so pretty.
Wow.
Okay, so the second part of biplanes that kind of rubs me the wrong way is that it's usually really hard to get batteries in and out. So let's find out if that's going to be the case today. I don't think it is. Okay, there's a release here. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, very nice.
Wow.
Whoa, that thing is humongous.
Holy cow.
Awesome. Yes, it's just like on the P51. And look, it's got the Primo straps, the thick ones. I like it a lot.
That's like ridiculous in there.
Hey, what the heck? Oh, wow, that's so weird. It's like, I feel like I'm gonna trip or something. Trip.
I know.
Oh, I tripped. Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
Whoa.
Cover your eyes.
Whoa. Oh, no. Oh, dang it. Well, I'll remember not to cut my
Yeah, but
hand
note
off.
to self, don't cut your hand off on that.
Don't cut my hand off. I'll keep that in the documentation. Okay, we got a receiver here too. We have to figure out where we're gonna put all this stuff. Oh, look, there's a spot right there. That's convenient. That would probably be a pretty good spot for that, eh?
Probably.
There's the ESC, obviously. Looks like it's kind of cattywampus, though. I'd like to have that turned sideways so it's hung on to, even if it's just hugged. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Look at that, guys. So much better. Okay, just to give you an idea, look how huge that thing is.
You have a giant head.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew you were going to say that. I was just, you know, underhand pitch. So here we go. So the AR637T, this is not the radio setup yet. Don't worry about it, guys. We're not quite there. Hey, we didn't look at the CG though. We need to do that within the next step.
Yes.
Okay, so if you work with an AR637TA, you're more than likely dealing with a bind and fly plane, because the TA, I don't even think you can technically buy it right now, but you can buy the T. Now, what's the difference between the T and the TA? There's a cost component. The T is more expensive than the TA because there is not a barometer, thus there is no vario. Now, you won't need the vario in a plane like this typically, unless you're slope soaring or thermaling with it, which would be extremely weird. But you are gonna get a full suite of telemetry on this, with the exception of this doesn't have a smart ESC. So you could add an Avian ESC, 100 amp Avian, or whatever crazy amount you want. I think they have an 80 amp too, which would be humongous. But this thing is going to give you all the rest of the telemetry you want, and that's really good. Plus, you're going to have forward programming, AS3X, and safe if you'd like. I'm gonna just do AS3X because that's what I use. Doing safe is just one more set of steps that I don't typically do, but you can do that if you want. That being said, we'll show you how to do the AS3X, and then you can build on that if you'd like, safe as well. This plane would definitely not be a first plane. I'm not saying it's going to be hard to fly or easy to fly because I haven't flown it yet. To be perfectly honest, I don't know. But I will tell you this would probably not be a first plane. It is big, it has a big prop. You need to build some good habits first, in my opinion. Now, if you're a pilot that's coming back to the hobby and you've flown for years and it's just been a while, yeah, it'd be perfectly fine. Okay, throttle. Throttle is going to go. Now, how do you know what channel to put on what, right? Well, I'm going to show you how I normally do this. I'm going to turn my transmitter on, okay? This is not the radio setup, okay? So I've got the V1200 in here. It doesn't really matter, but then at least we can see the order, which is really handy. So in my case, I'm just looking down and saying, oh, throttle. So that's channel 1. Now, of course, if you're not aware, it's labeled here S plus and minus. So signal is at the top, okay? So the face of this is where signal goes. So the white goes up, and you want to be on pin for channel 1 there. Okay, you remember when man, this is like a really nasty reach. I have to resolve that. I don't know if you guys have this problem when you're working on a plane for some time. You know what I kind of almost need? I wonder if I need to put like a pillow here. We could put it on the plane stand, but I just need something to protect this so it doesn't get damaged. Okay. I think I can just probably lay it down. That's fine. Okay. So all I need to do is, you remember the Y cable we fed in there? Oh, and then by the way, this is obviously an EC5. That's going to plug into and be compatible with our IC5 that's on the recommended battery that I suggested. This is an IC5. Obviously, given that it's an IC5 and this is an EC5, they are compatible. However, you don't have the smart lead. That smart lead is the thing in the middle there. Okay, there's no smart lead. Again, if you want that, you can get an Avian ESC. Follow the link in the description below to horizonhobby.com and you can just buy that there and you'll help support our channel. Okay, so we've got, there's our Y cable that we installed earlier on one of the wings, and brown to brown, yellow to yellow. You guys should know that probably if you're doing this type of build. These are ailerons. So ailerons in my case is going to be on channel 2. Yellow is of course signal, and then brown is negative, and then red is positive. Okay, so we're just going to slide that in there. Okay. Okay, rudder is going to be after the elevator, so that's skip one, then go on. I need yellow to go up. Now we're going to do a control surface test to make sure everything goes in the correct directions and that everything is centered before we go on our maiden flight. Okay, so the brown is down for elevator. So you'll notice that I also am using a 6-channel receiver in here. So there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to support flaperons in this aircraft. The trouble is I'm not 100% sure how that works on forward programming yet. And when I say forward programming, I mean we actually set the programming from the transmitter and it gets forced in there, which is really cool. So that being said, we have everything wired up. I believe that's pretty much where the transmitter is going to go. And I actually would like to keep the wires. You see how tight they are? The ESC wire, I could pull that a little bit back. Yeah, that's a little better. But you see what's going on there? We're fairly tight. And I would say we'll just do it right there. Just a little bit advance.
Of where the little mark is.
Yeah, because we have plenty of room for everything else then. And typically with a stabilized receiver, you want to be kind of close to the CG. I don't think that Spectrum claims that on this particular AS3X/safe. But given my past experience, you're going to have best results if you get close to the CG as you can be. I don't think you have to anymore. The technology is a lot more sophisticated than it was when we first had stabilizers in these radio-controlled airplanes. So that's where that's going to go. And you see there's a push button there. So that's what you're going to use for binding. So I just got to get some double-sided tape and come right back. Okay, so this is a lot of 3M tape. I had a customer that was using it as a cup holder. And I told her that I was going to use them for my airplanes. And so she's like, oh, you can have it. I'm like, really? The whole thing? She said, yep, I don't use that type anymore.
She was using it as a cup holder?
Yeah. Probably like a $30 roll of 3M double-sided tape.
You see some really odd things.
Listen, I do.
If the people only knew.
Okay, so be careful your warning label doesn't make this fall off easily, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna try to get that centrally located. It doesn't need to go forward or backward, but it can also be mounted sideways, okay? But it needs to go forward or backward. Those are the orientation allowances, okay? So that's really all you gotta do there. Now that's mounted. Okay, so now that we have that mounted, we do need to address the CG and particularly marking, but let's get the antennas mounted too. We might as well since we're here. It's kind of, this is working pretty good, you know, for keeping my back from getting.
Yeah, it's kind of a odd height, so I can see where it would be.
Yeah.
Kind of
So,
enjoying it for a while.
Diversity antennas, meaning 2 antennas, or are gonna typically you wanna put those at 90 degrees of each other. If you do them like this, you're wasting your time. You need to do them opposite, like this or like this, okay? So in my case, I'm just gonna do it so that the wires are not going to be a problem. And I'm gonna tape one of them probably vertical like that, and then I'll tape another one horizontal. And if you have carbon fiber is really hard for the radio frequency to get through because there is literally carbon in the fiber, which is like steel. Think of steel. It's not like steel. Okay, but it interferes with the radio's, the antenna's ability to do its job. Okay. Okay, so that holds that one vertical. You're gonna have to probably do a different angle for these people, I'm guessing. And then this one I could run back here, or I could run over here. I think I'm gonna run it up here just to get it on the side of the aircraft. It just gets us a better, I feel like that's a better array for the antennas. But I don't want to get tangled up. So the way I'm going to avoid being tangled up, since those wires could change position at some point, I'm going to go like this. Oh, dang it. Okay, so just slide that down and then ready to rock and roll. Just as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't need to be any more complicated. You can make it more complicated if you'd like to, but really that's plenty good, okay? That's literally good enough. And as long as your tape is solid, then you're gonna be good. That one goes vertical, that one goes horizontal, okay? Let me pause it. Okay, so now that we've got that taken care of, we just kind of gotta lay the wires down in a way that it's not gonna be a problem. It's actually, the cable management in this plane is so easy because there's just not that many cables to deal with. And then this, of course, is gonna plug in wherever the battery is, and you can see the battery tray goes way up into there. So that's great. So now we need to talk about CG. The CG, the center of gravity, of course, is gonna be indicated by the manual. So the manual should show us that somewhere. And so we wanna have the corresponding pack strapped in so that we can kind of make our adjustments as necessary.
It mentions adjusting it there.
There it is.
There
Center
it
of
is.
gravity is 155 to 165 back from the leading edge, also known as, why didn't they just tell us how far from here? That's all right, I forgive you, FMS, because everything else looks really nice, except for that manual that you curled. How dare you curl my manual? They probably assumed I wasn't gonna read it, which would have been a fair assessment under normal circumstances.
They also assume you're not going to keep it filed in a box with every other manual that you've ever received.
That's true, because I go down there and look them up all the time. Except for the never time. Okay, so that's gonna be strapped in there nicely. You know why these things are so nice? Because look where I'm doing this, where it's comfortable and easy and actually effective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's good. So then I can use my index finger to slide this back, which is just super duper duper nice. And then it'll click.
Wow.
That is so
That's amazing.
nice.
That's super good.
When planes are easy to set up like this, it just takes all the frustration out of it.
Yep.
This has been a really pretty easy build.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, we got to mark the CG. We're going to get out the world's crappiest calipers.
Ooh, are those calipers even going to be big enough for this?
150 centimeters or 150 millimeters is what I can do. Are you kidding me? So I have to measure to the 155. That's all the way out, okay? All the way out. And then we have to add to that 10 millimeters. Okay. Are we supposed to measure from the flat spot? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You see that dot, guys?
Just barely.
There's a flat and then it starts to taper back, okay? And that's where you want on the flat spot, okay? Then you can go 10 millimeters beyond that for your next mark. In this case, there's 10, that's really it?
Yeah, 165 to 155.
Okay. And then there's the,
It's not a very big range for a plane that size.
I know, well, that's why I'm saying these things are pretty particular about their CG. I mean, You got to look how complicated this plane is. You have 2 sets of wings.
Yeah.
So it's more challenging to get the CG right on these, especially if they're a balsa built up plane. How the heck am I going to test that?
No kidding.
Well, it looks like it's right about where that support is. I wonder if that's the easiest way. And we might be way off here. I don't know yet. I'm just trying to get my body in a spot where I think I can do it. Wow. That's amazingly good for not having screwed with it.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see like right where the battery
Yeah.
was? So I would suggest that that is going to fly slightly nose heavy because it's got a nose down tendency, but it doesn't continue and fall off my fingers. Okay. It could probably stand to be just a hair behind that. So I think what we'll do is we'll call that for now centered in the straps with the 4050C 6S from Smart, which, well, it's from Spectrum. It's a smart pack. So let's show the people at home again. Well, it's centered. If you really want to see, you can also go back in the video. Okay, so when you're all done flying, then all you have to do is lift it out. Okay, so you'll notice that it's basically centered on there. I probably actually could go back just a hair, and I think it would be helpful. So I would say maybe like a 1/4 inch off of here.
It's kind of lined, the back of it's kind of lined up right with that plastic bump.
Oh yeah, with this slot for another strap.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gonna get you where you need to be to start for CG. So now at this point, we are gonna dive into radio setup next. All right, YouTube, so we're back with the radio setup. We're gonna use the NX6 for this 1400 millimeter Pitts by FMS. We are using an AR636T, which is gonna give us AS3X and the potential for safe if you want it. I'm just gonna set up for AS3X because this is not really I'm not gonna use safe on it. So the first step we have to do is obviously turn on the transmitter. We've changed the palette, so that's helped a lot with our exposure on the camera. You can do different colors if you want. So black and white, red and black, and red and white, all sorts of stuff, red, white, and blue. We picked this because it's the easiest to film. So it's not like what we would probably pick, but it's just easiest to film. So inside the back of that plastic retail packaging, you're gonna find the instructions, the initial setup, okay? If you haven't done it before, I recommend reading the first 2 pages of this. It's a super easy read. I promise you won't even go to sleep because it's so short. And then this is just, I don't really look at it a lot, but it does talk about what's going on with this thing, okay? So anyway, this one tells you how to do the initial setup, but I'm gonna tell you right now. So the first thing you wanna do is you wanna set up a new acro. So in this case, system setup, shut off the RF, which makes that light go off, go to model select, add new model. In this case, we're gonna create an airplane, also known as an acro. Model type, data will be reset. You don't have to do that. I just do that to verify. Model name, so this is where we're gonna type. So we will pause and come back. It's gonna say FMS Pitts, and we'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so we've got the FMS Pitts V2, 1400 millimeter. The beeping is normal, I believe. Aircraft type, so in this case, we're gonna have normal and normal. You could set up whatever you really want, but in this case, we're doing normal and normal, okay? Because there are no flaps on this plane, and I don't know that I'm sold on doing flaperons because it'd just be really weird with 4 of them. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll all the way through and change the picture to, let's see if there's a better one. That was a pretty good one, actually. Yeah, I think the first one. Ooh, that's good. Okay. So then we're not even gonna mess with any of that stuff. And then we can just go back. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set up throttle cut. I use switch H and then I test. Throttle's up. You see how it's at -100. Okay, when it's off, it's allowed to move up and down. Okay, great. So I'm going back and then I'm gonna go to timer. Did they mention a time?
Ooh,
I don't think they did.
I didn't see it.
I'm gonna turn on 1 out, which means when you push out past 25% on the throttle, it's gonna start the timer. And then you can clear it with this button too. And I'm just gonna set it, 5 minutes might be a little much.
Might be.
I think we'll just have to keep an eye on it on the first flight. 4 minutes should be safe though. Mm-hmm. Then I want a 1 minute voice. I want 30 seconds inhibited, 20 seconds inhibited, 10 seconds voice, and then expiration would be voice. And no, I want to do tone and vibrate. Mm-hmm. And then every minute will be a tone. Next. Okay. So then telemetry, you can't really auto configure the telemetry yet, but what you'll do is you'll go in there and just click auto config. It should automatically configure as soon as it binds, okay? So you can leave this thing on and go into bind mode if you want. But I just prefer to kind of do it the normal way. I'm just gonna press and hold this button and shut it off, okay? 6 channel. Why did they say that? It's a 7 channel. Okay, so throttle cut's on. As it pertains to our application, I am going to now plug in the battery for the first time, so I'm gonna be careful as I do this. There is no bind plug in this application unless you choose to use it. So I am going to be plugging it in. Oh, EC5s, EC5s. Okay, cool. Let's show the people at home. There's a button right here, pressing and holding it, and then it starts flashing. Then I'm gonna press and hold this, and I'm gonna turn it on by pressing and holding that. Then I'm gonna wait until it. Cool, now we're gonna wait, make sure the throttle doesn't take off and do anything weird or dangerous, because that's a big prop. Okay, so I'm gonna immediately test my throttle. Throttle cuts off. That's half throttle.
That's
throttle cuts on.
crazy.
That's awesome. Okay, so throttle cut is on and tested. Again, ailerons are rolling the correct direction. Elevators going the correct direction. Rudders going the correct direction. What are the chances? Okay, so now we're gonna do our setup for forward programming. Right after we may need to look at this elevator. I'm not sure if that elevator is gonna need to be adjusted. It looks like it needs to come up just a hair. And then the rudder is perfect. We got really lucky on that. Mm. So let's fix the, what am I hitting? Oh, I'm hitting the wheel pants.
Yeah.
Maybe you are good for something after all. I need to take this off with a screwdriver and then, whoops, not this. I need to take this off with the screwdriver so I can level that surface is down. I want to level it, okay? So before we get any further with our setup, you want to have your mechanical trims as close as you can get within reason. They don't need to be perfect, but the more perfect they are, the better your experience is going to be. And believe me, you want it to be as perfect as you can get it. I don't know where that black screwdriver went. We should have like 400 of them in there.
Yeah. Did you take it downstairs?
I hope not. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is because when I take this off, it's a lot easier to rotate. Found it right there. Okay. It's a lot easier than trying to undo this, okay? So I want to stick that out more, but I want this to be vertical when we're done. So I'm going to go like this. Okay, probably one full turn, I'm guessing. And nope, probably another full turn. Oh, we're getting close, one more. And you can do half turns as well. I just happen to be doing, oh yeah, that's really close, probably half a turn. So there's half a turn. You see half a turn doesn't work so hot now, does it? I guess we're gonna do a full turn. You can just take it off and move it, but I'm too lazy. Yeah, that's, oh boy. That's pretty perfect.
That's pretty good. That's a lot better.
I don't think it's gonna be perfect when we take off for the first time. We're gonna have some trim, right. Although I say that, and then I don't know that I trimmed that 2.5 meter ASW 17
at all.
I might have given it a couple clicks of trim on elevator. Okay, so that's tight. So now forward programming is the process that we use to set up the AS3X, and it's quite simple. So I'm going to walk through that with you right now, and I'm going to be pleasantly surprised along with you how easy this is, okay? So our timer is counting down because of the 1 out. Throttle cut is on. First thing we're going to do is we are going to turn on telemetry. If it didn't automatically set up, which I believe it did. Where is that?
Right there.
Auto config. Okay, so it's automatically configuring. Okay. Forward programming. You can go down to gyro settings, first time setup. Make sure the model has been configured, including wing type, yep, reversing, travel, trimming, etc. before continuing. Any wing type, channel assignment, sub-trim, or servo reversing changes require running through initial setup again, okay? Set the model level and press continue. Now, when this says set the model level, I believe what they mean is set the model level, not set the model level. I'm not 100% certain that this is not level. If we fly and it flies like this, then we are going to set it like this. But I believe what they mean by set the model level is that you set it on the ground so that it knows how and when to allow it to arm. Okay, so that would be level in this case. That plane was a little bit tricky because it doesn't quite set level. So similar to Crescendo Evolution bind and fly, it leans to one side or the other when you're binding it, okay? Or when you're turning it on to initiate. And sometimes it takes forever to initiate because of that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so set the model level and press continue. Set the model on its nose and press continue. Okay, so this is gonna be where I have to hold it. Wheel pants are gonna get in the way. Luckily, this is a pretty sturdy model, so I can just rest it on the spinner. Okay, it's literally on its nose, and I'm clicking continue. It says stand by, and it gives you a confirmation of orientation of your transmitter and your receiver. So let's show the people at home, which is kind of funny because these receivers, if they have telemetry, are actually transmitters as well. So it shows the little Spectrum AR637 toward the tail, and then the Spectrum logo toward the front. And if you guys want to look inside the plane with us real quick, you can see that that's the way it is. Pretty cool. So they have used some rocket science to articulate the position. Now let's look at this again. You can change that too if it gets it wrong. So now gain channel select. So we have a few different options on this plane, but what I'm gonna do is, since we don't have landing gear, I could use this or I could use this. I'm gonna go ahead and see how it doesn't change. See how it says inhibit? You have to assign it to a channel, okay? So we can use gear because we don't have gear. See how it's changing to A? Okay. Gain channel So once you apply it, you'll notice that the ESC is chiming. That's one set of dances. That means AS3X is active. If you have two sets of dances, then that means that safe is active, okay? So receiver is rebooting, click for menu, okay? So now at this point, we can go down to the telemetry. You can see the altitude. There's the AS3X headings. See, it's not changing yet. Not changing yet. See, not changing yet. But you can see this. Here, see if you can watch that while I move the plane. Can you hold that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you see that?
Yep.
Do you see this?
Yep.
Do you see that?
Yep.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's cool.
So the AS3X is aware of the spatial position of the plane and its G-forces that are applied. And then it's also got Vario built in, which is pretty cool. And that's a barometric pressure change. Now it's not going to make any noise unless you turn it on. See how it went up, now it went down, okay? Pretty cool, very cool, because you have altitude and everything on there. So that's the end of the list, okay? If you want audio events, then you can go in here and you can go to telemetry warnings or telemetry events. And then you can run over to altitude or Vario. So within Vario, you click and it loads. It takes a second. Whoops. Now you can sit here and change that with, you know, let's say you want to use C. So it's going to be on with these two conditions, but off with this condition. Or vice versa, you can change that if you'd like. And then you can do a lift report every 3.2 feet per second, or you could do every 10 feet per second. It really doesn't matter. You get to set it, okay? Which is pretty cool. So I might as well leave it at the default. And then the gap width, 20 second, 30, 60. You can do as low as 5. I'm gonna set it back to 15. And then the report delay is 1/4 second, 1/2, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I don't know why you would want anything less than 1/4. And then you can also shut off the display so you don't have to scroll through it, okay? So that's how you use the Vario, okay?
50.
So now if you go to the Vario, you can see this, and see this should be off, and then that'd be on and on, okay? So off, there won't be any noise. I don't know if it's gonna be high enough to show you the noise. Okay, so listen. Nope, it's a little bit too, I'm not going far enough. I have to go 3.2 feet per second for it to boop, 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 boop. Okay, so I have it in the off condition now. So that's all set up. Now, as you may know, throttle cut's on. Let's see if our AS3X turns on when I give it throttle. Of course, you need to be prepared. It's gonna be throttle.
Okay.
Make sure that snaps, okay? Throttle cut's back on and tested. So AS3X should be running now. Yep, it is. The rudder's moving opposite the movement of the plane. Ailerons. The aileron, the correction direction appears to maybe be backward on that. What? That's so weird. Look. That was correct before, now it's incorrect. So that would have rolled the plane backward. So I'm glad we tested that. So now as a result, I need to go in here. You can go to servo setup and change it, but I think you have to go into forward programming. Other settings, failsafe, factory boot. Okay, so let's go back. Gyro settings, AS3X setting. You can change your gain sensitivity 1, 2, 3, 4. And believe me, if you do 4, it's crazy. And then you can do your priority and you can do gains. So priority has to do with how much the receiver does and how much it allows you to do when there's a question, okay? AS3X gains, flight mode 1. See, I don't have those set up. So if we go to flight mode system, AS3X is active. Now I'm going to set that to, instead of inhibit, I want it to be, see how it's changing? It's trying to get that. Okay, so we're going to, instead of inhibit it, we're going to go to auxiliary 1, and then we're going to set it to D. Well, D is the default. So now when we go to next, I believe we can see how it's changing. So on flight mode 3, we're going to inhibit it. On flight mode 2, it'll be active. On flight mode 1, it's going to be active. Okay, so 1, 2, and then 3 is off. Okay. So now when I pick up the plane and I move it, I have AS3X active now, so I should be able to see it is moving. It'll be moving still moving. And then when I'm in the bottom setting, it's not, so it's off in that setting. Okay, you may not need to turn it off. I'm probably never going to turn it off, but that's why I always keep my switches in a certain position. Now let's talk about Expo real quick. Oh wait, we gotta change the rotation. See? Well, that's correct. Nope, that's going backward because that would have rolled this way. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to try this first and just see if it works. I don't think it will. We reverse the ailerons. So now it rolls the correct direction. Okay, elevator's good and rudder's good. But I want to see if AS3X is going to correct. And what I mean is when I lift the wing, I want to know if this is going to go up to prevent it from rolling without input from the stick, okay? So we do have AS3X active. I'm going to show you a trick. If you can't tell what direction it's going, here's how you can tell. If you click, go into the function list, go down to forward programming, go to gyro settings, AS3X settings, and then go to this gain. Now you can also do adjustable gain. See how it's adjustable? You can set that to like a knob if you have a knob, okay? Which I don't in this application. So this gain sensitivity, watch this. Sorry. Okay, so now it's at gain 4, which is crazy. Okay, now watch this. See how it goes up and down a lot and left and right? See, the ailerons are going the wrong way. They're going the wrong way, okay? They're going down. So what would happen is if you got blown by the wind, it would start rolling the aircraft. The elevator would correct right and the rudder would correct right. But then as soon as you kick into a roll, then AS3X would take you out of control, okay? Even though our controls are going in the right direction. So we need to fix that. So let's go back down here to forward programming, other settings, fail-safe, initiate bind mode, factory reset, okay. Gyro setting, flight mode, setup, system setup. Relearn servo settings. Okay. Good, 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 good. So, oh, you have to go to apply and then it's done. Then complete and go back. So there's your roll left, roll right, pull up, push down, left and right. Okay, so now let's see. We're still in the gain mode 4, which is crazy. Okay, up, down, left, right, up, down. See? Up, down. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And you only have to see one of them because these are wide today.
Right.
So relearning the servo positions will resolve that problem for you. So let's look in here. I'm going to show you how to put this back down. So what you might do without having, you know, like a slider or a knob, if you want to have adjustability on your stabilization, then you can do all sorts of different ways, but I'm going to go to gyro settings. Whoops. No connection failed. Click for menu. Okay. I'm going to go back out here. Everything is working. I'm going to try to go back into forward programming. I may have to reset the power. Click for menu. Yeah, let's reboot power. Throttle cuts off or throttle cuts on and tested. That's the first time I've had a connection fail like that.
Is it because you...
It's because I did the relearn positions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to reboot everything. I'm going to actually turn this off too. It takes a while with this push button style. That's one of the only things I'm not crazy about on this NX6, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so it turns on. Now I'm gonna plug in the battery. Okay, let it initiate. Okay, it's dancing once. That means AS3X, not safe. Okay, so we'll slide this on. No AS3X, you'll notice, and that's because we haven't given it throttle, which I'm gonna do now. Throttle cuts on. Okay. Working, 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 working. I'm just verifying all the surfaces are going the correct directions. So everything's updated. So now what I was going to show you is this last step. If you go down to forward programming, gyro settings, see now we're in it. So after you relearn positions, you may have to do that. Okay. So F mode setup. It's inhibited on channel 3. So like if you set it too high and you needed to get it to the ground, you could switch down and shut it off, okay? If it's oscillating. And when I say oscillating, your plane is flying along and the auto correction, it's correcting too much, so it starts oscillating. Two ways to fix that. Obviously cut your throttle back a lot or a little, and that should slow the plane down so then it stops correcting, okay? Ideally, you're gonna fly it as fast as you can until oscillation occurs, then back it off one step. But in this case, I'm just gonna have a mode that's gonna get me out of jail free card. That's this, if I need it. Okay, so that means in flight mode 3, it shuts off the AS3X, but it's on in 1 and 2, okay? Then I wanna go to system setup, the gain channel select, trying to remember what's utilities? Mode 3. System setup. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So you can do one time. See how there's like a 0.5? Evidently it doesn't want you to use 0.5. So I'm doing 1. And then fixed adjustable gain, and then capture gyro gains. So after you make adjustments, you can actually you can capture those. So like for instance, if you were flying and you had a knob set up, then you could make changes in flight and then you could capture the settings and then that re-neutralizes a setting. So you have more up and you have more down. But that's okay, because I think if I do any more than this, I'll go to 2, but I'm gonna set it to 1 for now to be on the safe side. And by the way, to avoid future confusion, keep in mind that the flight modes, I believe, do not necessarily pertain to the flight modes of regular settings on the transmitter. They refer to the forward programming flight modes. Confusing. Okay, one more thing. Let's talk about expo and dual rates. So dual rates and expo. Did they talk about that in the manual? I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to set it the same as I always do, which is going to be like 5, then 10, then 20, whoops, then 20, and I'm gonna back off the rates, whoa. Now I'm back off the rates to 90, okay? That's gonna be true for all 3 axes of control. So we have the softest control here, which is gonna also reduce the rates. Then in the middle, we're gonna have the rate we expect to use, which is 100%, and then the expo at 10. And then the lowest rate, the most responsive, okay? And then we can do that for all 3 axes. Click the switch, activate it, set this to 20 to start, lower that down to 90. 10. Okay, so we're all set. So basically when I'm ready to fly, I start here. If I need less, I need more precision for landing, I can go to less, which is about half of what I had before, or I can double what I had before if I need softer sticks to get landed. Now I can also go over here and turn stabilizer off or run flight mode 1 or 2. okay? Then there might also be gain associated to this right now, so let's see what that does. So, moving, did I activate the throttle? Throttle cuts on. It is moving, but it's very small. That's a lot. That's like nothing. So it is possible that we're also on the gear channel going to have some sort of a gain setting. And that's set up in Ford programming as well. So if you wanted to have more gain, you can actually change your servo setup for that channel too, I believe. Because, and I'll show you real quick how to do that. If you want to, you go to servo setup, which is under the function list. Then you go to travel. You can either reverse that channel if you need to, the gear channel, or you can set up the travel to have more or less. So you can go all the way up to 150% or all the way down to a negative 150%, okay? So what that would do for you is, because we have switches instead of knobs, you may need to find kind of the middle ground for your stabilizer. So suppose you have like all the way on, all the way off. Well, there's actually technically a deviant between all the way off and all the way on. And then sometimes you can actually go above or below. Not 100% sure on that because I haven't done it yet on this setup, but I've done it on other stabilizers. So that being said, this plane is ready to rock and roll. I'm excited to see it fly. I'm actually not really nervous about it. It just went together so well. And that was actually a fairly easy setup. Almost bind and fly easy, but not quite. It still takes a little bit longer. So if you guys are looking for a mid-sized plug-and fly model that is just gorgeous, and you want to get into this Pitts 1400 millimeter by FMS, definitely, so far it looks really good. Obviously you've seen the flight already. This is a very cool looking plane. I'm excited to see it fly. I'm sure it's gonna fly great, and I know that you guys will enjoy it. But definitely do me a favor, if you're gonna buy this thing, check the link in the description below. Buy the stuff that we used, and if you don't maybe like the stuff we used, buy from the links anyway, and then pick what you'd prefer. If you want to use a simpler receiver, for instance, then you could get a simpler receiver and just follow the links at Horizon Hobby, and then you can get it that way. And you will be supporting the channel, and we really appreciate you guys doing that. We know that you go out of your way to do that. And by the way, use all the coupon codes you want, whatever it is that you got, you know, rewards points or whatever, you're still helping us out when you buy through the links. So please do that. Obviously the NX6 has been great so far. Been very impressed with this. We've had a couple of really small glitches, should get fixed with firmware updates. Beyond that, really happy with it. Fits the hand well. It almost feels just as good as the DX18. However, with the Ford programming, it's nice to have those higher channels because you can do some of the extra settings and fine tuning. Granted, the fine tuning just kind of ends up making it more complicated and not necessarily more fun. So that being said, loving it so far. The smart packs have been awesome. Obviously, we're gonna be doing the 4006S50C smart pack from Spectrum. The Spectrum smart packs have proven themselves time and time again. Very good, definitely highly recommended. Really excited to see this fly. Come back for more, guys. You know where to find it on Brian Phillips RC. Don't forget to smash the like button and definitely subscribe. Click the bell for notifications if you want to see. We are posting videos usually at least once a week. Sometimes we're doing 2 or 3 times a week, depending on what type of footage we have. If it's real short, sometimes we'll do a couple in a week. And but the best stuff we have is just coming. We've got lots more coming, in fact. Probably 10 models in the pipeline right now. So hopefully that'll keep you guys satisfied over the Thanksgiving. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving like a week ago or a week and a half ago. Thanks for watching.